Here's an interesting question. This is from Jamal. Jamal wants to know, why do car companies need to manufacture in the United States instead of just importing from other countries like China or Japan, where labor costs are much lower? This is a good question. I've sort of answered this before, a similar question before, but that was quite a while ago, so it's worth revisiting. There's three major reasons. So if you're in Europe, it's three, right? Europe, America, Europe, right? So three reasons: taxes, cost, and market differences. Those three reasons are the major reason that large retail items are generally built regionally rather than for global shipping. It's expensive to move them around. So in the US, as with most countries, there are tariffs and taxes to be paid on imports. So in the US, the tariff can vary depending on the type of vehicle being imported, but there's always a tariff. In other countries, the tariff might be a larger VAT or value-added tax. It might be something else, but it's still basically a tariff. It costs money to bring it in that you have to pay to government. So that's a big one right there. Then you have, that's for the US, that is the biggest reason that most vehicles import parts rather than the vehicle itself, and then they make it here. And then we make vehicles in the Mexico and Canada because with the North American Free Trade Agreement, or NAFTA, we can ship between between these three countries relatively easily and mostly free. So you do see a lot of vehicles that will have parts from those two locations, especially Mexico, and then also Canada, but not as much. So because those are not subject to tariff tax. Now, costs are a big concern. So if you have a vehicle that costs, say, $20,000 to make, and then you spend another $5,000 to ship it, and then you put it on the showroom floor and you pay another $5,000 in taxes, you now have a $30,000 vehicle that is going to be competing with domestic product that was not subject to that heavy shipping or tax cost and maybe slightly cheaper. So in the end, do you do that, or do you invest and build facilities and build here? Most car manufacturers, with the exception of just a small tiny handful, are doing just that. They are building vehicles in Detroit, so they're building vehicles in Michigan, Georgia, Tennessee, Texas. There's a lot of manufacturing of vehicles happening in the United States. What else? Oh, market differences. That was the other one. So vehicles that are sold in the North America, so vehicles that are sold in the US, Canada, etc., they are different because of safety requirements than vehicles sold in, say, South America, Australia, Asia, etc. And so they have to be made differently. If you're building a vehicle for the European market, it is very likely to be right-hand drive instead of left-hand drive. If you're building one for the Asian market, it could be either, depending on the exact location. If you're building one for North or South America, it is most likely a left-hand drive, which is what we're used to. And so because of those regional differences and then differences in safety requirements, fuel economy requirements, emissions requirements, etc., it is much easier to concentrate on a specific region or location and build for that location at that location than it is to try to globalize and just make a vehicle for the highest requirements and then be outsold by everybody who is doing the regional thing because it is cheaper to make it here, there, because the requirements are better or easier. So those market differences are a big driver of how vehicles are not only made but sold. So it's important that major automotive manufacturers take advantage of that. So that's pretty much it. Most manufacturers have realized that it is simpler, easier, and cheaper in the long run to build vehicles close to where they're going to be sold. And if you think in terms of there's a big difference between what an auto manufacturer is thinking of versus somebody who, say, sells on Etsy. If you're selling on Etsy, you're thinking about this month, next month, maybe the year. If you're an auto manufacturer, that vehicle is going to be sold for 7 to 10 years, and most likely you're going to be using the same manufacturing facility, what the hell word is that? Anyway, you're going to be using that manufacturing facility that you built for 50 years or more. So auto manufacturers tend to be thinking very long run versus, the small mom and pops or regular business people who we tend to think more in terms of this year, next year, maybe 5 years at most. So it's important to remember that. That's why those billion-dollar investments in a manufacturing plant can be seen as a payoff, because they know that they're going to get 20, 30, 40, 50 years out of that plant. So there you go. Hopefully this answers your question, Jamal. Is a good one. So this has been Aaron. Talk to you again soon. Oh, forgot to tell you, if you have a question, hit me up down in the comments on this video, or go over to aarononautos.com, figure out how to send me a message from there. There's a contact page. You can comment on something, whatever. All right. Talk to you again soon.